as their new offensive coordinator. He takes over for Kevin Patullo. He's 33 years old, very young, but he obviously is highly thought of. In 2023, he was playing quarterback with the Vikings and Seahawks, and now at the age of 33, he's the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He follows a long line of play callers that Jalen Hurts has worked with. Last year, Kevin Patullo. This year, it'll be Sean Mannion. There's been a constant source of turnover there at the offensive coordinator position for the Philadelphia Eagles. The latest version will be Sean Mannion, the Packers quarterbacks coach, who now comes in and takes over as the Eagles play caller.
Former third-round pick out of Oregon State. Eagles currently tied for the fourth best odds to win next year's Super Bowl at 13. We're back. 3 NFL franchises.
And the Eagles finally found their new offensive coordinator. Philly went with Sean Mannion. Mannion has only been coaching for 2 years, as he was hired as an offensive assistant in Green Bay in 2024 and promoted to QB coach this past season. Mannion played in 14 games across 6 seasons with the Rams and Vikings, and he's going to replace Kevin Patullo, who was fired after 1 season as offensive coordinator in Philly. So, Tyler, another year for Jalen Hurts playing football. Another year with a different offensive coordinator. It's now 11 offensive coordinators in 11 years, going back to his days at Alabama. What do you make of this fit on the surface?
I'm really surprised by this. Not so much about the pairing with Jalen Hurts, but just Mannion's meteoric rise in the NFL coaching realm. You referenced it earlier. He was an offensive assistant just 2 years ago in 2024. Only a quarterback's coach this season for the Green Bay Packers. He has never called offensive plays, and reports are that he is going to start calling offensive plays for an offense that right now has Jalen Hurts at quarterback, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at wide receiver, and Saquon Barkley in the backfield. That to me is really interesting to see an inexperienced play caller, an inexperienced coach at this stage, now being handed the keys to what was a Super Bowl winning offense not too long ago. Now, obviously, there's going to be maybe some bumps along the way because there is that inexperience, but it is interesting. He was the quarterback's coach for the Green Bay Packers this season, and the Green Bay Packers, their yards per attempt have been up there in the tops of the league. Jordan Love really has ascended over the last few years. And Malik Willis, when he was asked to be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers due to injury, he was able to thrive in that role. So we have seen him really jump in with these quarterbacks, and they have been able to produce. So I am expecting this offense to get back on track. Now we'll see what happens with A.J. Brown. I think that maybe is the next domino to fall with the Philadelphia Eagles. What's the future for him in this offense and with this organization? But right now, I'm really interested to see what Mannion's going to be able to do with this unit.
Yeah, I am too, because last year, remember, Patullo never called plays, and the experiment was not great, to say the least. So Mannion, same thing. Hopefully, for Eagles fans' sake, we have a better result, and they're able to produce more on offense. Tyler Sullivan always producing for us here on HQ. Thanks so much, man. So we reference it, right? Jalen Hurts has been dealing with a new offensive coordinator pretty much every year that he's been in the NFL. In 2020, it was Doug Peterson. Then 2021, Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen. 2022, just Shane, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, and of course Patullo last year. So a lot of changes for Jalen Hurts over his NFL career. To say,
creating a team identity that allows him to thrive, which he's already, proven to be an elite, one of the best player in the National Football League, and put a team around him that allows him to reach that ultimate goal of bringing a Super Bowl back to Baltimore.
Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NFL writer Tyler Sullivan. And Tyler, one of the reported reasons why John Harbaugh got the boot was due to a strained relationship with Lamar Jackson. Like early on, they were tight. You saw moments where like, yo, you want to go for it? Okay, let's go for it. But clearly, there were some fractures there. For Jesse Minter, how important is it for him and the two-time MVP to be on the same page as they look to try to get a Lombardi trophy?
It's everything. I mean, it's not just whether or not you can have a symbiotic relationship with him, but if you don't, that's going to prevent this team from reaching its fullest potential, and that is legitimately going to a Super Bowl. This team has a Super Bowl ceiling because they have Lamar Jackson, but as you just referenced, and as we've seen over the last few years with the relationship with Harbaugh kind of diminishing, you've also seen diminishing success from a team perspective. Lamar Jackson continues to be one of the most prolific quarterbacks that we've seen seen in the NFL over that stretch, but they haven't been able to get over the hump in the postseason. And obviously this season, dealing with injuries, as you can see here, and I think that that's part of it. We can throw the coaching off to the side here. Obviously, Lamar Jackson wasn't healthy, so first and foremost, the player needs to be healthy. But from Jesse Minter's perspective, yeah, it is forming that relationship. And I think part of that relationship right now, after this opening press conference, is finding him an offensive coordinator, whether that's Cliff Kingsbury, who's rumored to be out there. Maybe that's a fit, but that's the next step here. Finding a pairing with him on the offensive side of the ball that can further along that relationship and further along that postseason run.
And the other element here, Tyler, is Ravens fans, they have very high expectations. When you have a generational QB like Lamar Jackson, a great safety defensive back when it comes to Kyle Hamilton, how would you define success in year one for Jesse Minter?
It is going to the playoffs. It is at least winning a playoff game, because this is a team that, as I just referenced, is in a Super Bowl window. You have Lamar Jackson. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are not rebuilding. You're not a head coach required to come in and build this thing slowly. For Jesse Minter, you're coming into this, and you're a team in the Baltimore Ravens that has an MVP quarterback. You are contending for Super Bowl. So it is to win the division. It is to get into the playoffs and get into the divisional round. This is an organization that has only been to a conference championship once since they won the Super Bowl back in 2012. They lost that game. They need to have deeper playoff runs, and it starts as soon as 2026 because you have Lamar Jackson in his prime. If you were a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, right, who are bringing in a new head coach at some point, going to draft Fernando Mendoza most likely, you've given yourself a long running lane to build that thing back up. The Baltimore Ravens are not that. They are an organization that has an MVP quarterback. You referenced Kyle Hamilton. There are pieces here to contend right out of the chute. So really, that expectation should be division, playoffs, and deep runs.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Derrick Henry, right? You have to capitalize on him because he's still playing at an elite level despite all the years that he's picked up in the NFL. Now, moving along to Robert Saleh, as he met with the media for the first time as head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And Saleh was 20-36 in his first stint as a head coach with the Jets from 2021 to 2024. And he knows that if he's going to be successful this time around, his team, they're going to have a distinctive playing style.
Fast and violent, man. Play in and play out. We're going to play with speed. We're going to play confident. We're going to have some swag. Talk a little... But I want them to show who they are, play in and play out. And like I said, the one thing that you'll notice is the speed at which we play and the violence at which we do it.
All right, we're back here with Tyler Sullivan. And Tyler, one thing Robert Saleh is good at is creating memorable philosophies for his teams. The Jets, it was all gas, no brakes. For the Titans, it's fast and violent. And unlike in his first stint with Gang Green, which he failed, he will be calling plays on defense for the Titans. So what does he need to do differently this time around?
First of all, fast and violent. He was so close to saying fast and furious. We almost had a perfect reference there from Robert Saleh. But what he needs to do is turn the entire organization around, right? I mean, this is a Tennessee Titans team that has really struggled over the last few years, essentially since they got rid of Mike Vrabel, and they have been at the bottom of the barrel in the NFL in a lot of different categories. 31st in the NFL over the last few years, the last couple of years, in points per game allowed. And I think that's an area where Robert Saleh could really come in and make a difference. Obviously, they need to bring in talent to really bring that unit to a respectable level. But if you watch the New York Jets over Saleh's tenure, yes, it was marred by Zach Wilson not working out and Aaron Rodgers dealing with an Achilles injury right out of the gate. But their defenses were good. They were scrappy. They were able to produce. And I think that that's something that he can very easily carry over to Tennessee. Now, we'll see how everything comes together. Obviously, he has a quarterback this time in Cam Ward, but I do think that this is a tenure that could get off the ground much quicker than people expect.
Yeah, and you brought up Cam Ward. I'm glad you did, because while Saleh's calling card is his defense, the development of Cam Ward is going to be critical for the team's success, along with how he meshes with offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. And Saleh, he's looking forward to what Ward is going to bring to this team.
Cam, from everything that I've gathered, just all the discussions I've had throughout the building and throughout the league, comes with an elite work ethic, elite character, an elite person. And, you know, when you look at his body of work as a rookie, a lot of these rookies, when they come in through the middle of OTAs. But so the biggest thing that we're going to work with Cam, just going all the way back to the beginning, you know, we've gotten a whole offseason to work with him, take him back to the very, very beginning, both on the field, off the field, the process at which, what it looks like to not only be a professional with regards to preparation in his body, but as a professional with regards to preparing from a game planning standpoint or a playbook standpoint. But, you know, just talking with Dabes over the course of the last few weeks, he is the perfect man to match up with Cam and to maximize who he is. So again, we're really pumped to get to work with Cam and get him to where we all know he can be.
Okay, we're back here with Tyler Sullivan. And Tyler, how should Cam Ward feel about this solid Dable dynamic when you think about, okay, solid, defensive-minded, and Dable, it seems like, based on that press conference, Dable's going to have a hands-on approach with Cam Ward, and maybe Saleh's going to be less present there.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward should be really excited about what Tennessee has put around him from a coaching perspective. I don't want to get too crazy about this because I'm about to talk about a team that's in the Super Bowl, but it does kind of feel like a Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels situation around Drake May a year ago. Now, Tennessee has a long way to go to make that sort of quantum leap in year 2, but you are putting in the right pieces around him. A defensive-minded head coach to help on that side of the ball, not putting so much pressure on him to maybe go throw for throw against an opposing quarterback. And then we've seen Brian Daboll really help young quarterbacks ascend in this league, going from Josh Allen to most recently Jackson Dart this season before he was let go. He's had some good moments developing quarterbacks. And you see here, one of the more underrated stories of the second half of this season, it was because Tennessee's record wasn't really anything to do. Cam Ward really started to break out towards that final stretch of this season. Far less turnovers than he did total touchdowns. He really did start to flash that #1 overall pick acumen. So all of a sudden, you put a young coaching staff or a better coaching staff around him. You have over $100 million in cap space, the most out of any team in the NFL, to continue building around him, a top 5 draft pick. There is a chance here where all of a sudden Tennessee can really help facilitate a year 2 leap for Cam Ward.
And that's what everybody is looking for. Robert Saleh certainly, though, has his work cut out for him. Over the last 2 seasons, the Titans are 6-20.